Hi everyone, I hope you're enjoying your long weekend. You're about to see some of the best news stories over the past couple of weeks from CTV News.
I'm John Ombler from the Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Authority. I'd like to welcome both ministers, Minister Brownlee and Minister Joyce, and also the Mayor of Christchurch, Bob Parker, together with representatives of the organisations that are going to be working with us to do the recovery work, and that includes obviously staff from Christchurch City Council, the Recovery Authority itself, Fulton Hogan, Downers, Fletchers, McDowell and City Care. And really that's what this is about. It is about a whole bunch of people working together to repair the horizontal infrastructure.
The signing of the Interim Alliance Agreement for Infrastructure Rebuild for the rebuild of Christchurch's earthquake-damaged roads and sewage systems took place on Fitzgerald Ave this morning. In attendance was Earthquake Recovery Minister Jerry Brownlee, Transport Minister Stephen Joyce, Christchurch Mayor Bob Parker and representatives of the 5 contractors involved in the Alliance partnership, which are Fulton Hogan, Fletcher, Downer, McConnell Dowell and City Care. Last week, Mayor Bob Parker told CTV News about the Alliance, which aims to get the job done quickly within budget.
I want to acknowledge the staff of the Christchurch City Council and the key role that they have played in pulling together this contract. It was unanimously supported by Council just over a week ago. What the people of our city really want is they want to be able to get back to life as close to normal as quickly as possible. And what was important for us is that we had a contracting structure that could do that, but could also recognise that there are many things that we don't know. We don't know what's under the surface. What we do know is every time we lift up a manhole cover or dig a hole in the ground, we find stuff that we didn't expect to see. We've got a model that can be flexible, it can put the effort, the energy, the materials and the equipment where it needs to be put. Most important of all, it puts the people of Christchurch at the front of the queue. We want our city fixed. We want it fixed quickly. We want our water, our wastewater and our roads, our electricity and our lives back. And I think this is a contracting structure that can deliver that to us.
Sarah and the Christchurch City Council will take responsibility for that consenting, and so there'll be a shortened timeline that will be developed by the 2 agencies to make sure that we get proper consenting, so there's no things being left unconsidered, but it will be a faster process because we want life back to normal here as quickly as possible. When we say as quickly as possible, remember that we're talking hundreds of kilometres of roads, hundreds of kilometres of sewer, wastewater, etc. So we would think that to get right out into the outer suburbs that aren't quite so damaged could be up to 5 years. But the sort of damage you see behind us, a key arterial road, we want that fixed as soon as possible, and this structure will allow that to happen. In the end, what we've got here is a mechanism that recognises we've got one heck of a big problem, we've just got to get on and fix it.
Well, what it is basically, you get a set of contractors that come together. You have known costs, and that's one of the benefits of both the council and NZTA involvement. They've worked with these contracts before, they know the costs involved, and then you work through in a process where you actually basically design and build as you go, and so you don't end up saying, oh, well, this is how we're going to do it, and then you dig up the road and discover that it's actually quite different to what you assumed. So you're actually working on a design and construct model where everybody's working together and the costs are known on the way through. So it's quite a it's like a series of parallel processes rather than the sort of the way it's traditionally done, which is think about it, design it, consent it, construct it. It's everybody working in parallel.
St Michael's Church on Durham Street is one of the few churches in the central city that sustained little damage from the September and February quakes. The church has been in the heart of the city since 1852. The present building was opened in 1872 and was the pro-cathedral until 1881.
Well, the church has come through really well in all the quakes. It rattles around a bit, but it's wooden, so it's very flexible. and it was fine after September the 4th. Boxing Day, three of the organ pipes fell over, but they were put back, and candlesticks were put up the right way again, and flower vases and things, and we continued as usual. This is the only inner city church operational at the moment. Christ College Chapel, of course it's a chapel, it's not a church, but it's being used. St Mary's Manchester Street is a wee bit out of the inner city, but that is operational.
However, the church was not without complete damage. St Michael's original organ suffered significant damage and now needs major repairs.
The organ was, the first organ was put in just after the church was built in 1852, the first church. And when the church was rebuilt, a new organ was ordered by from the same maker, Henry Bevington and Sons. They made lovely organs, and it was rebuilt in 1896 and hasn't been shifted since. It's had tinkerings ever since, but from time to time, but basically it has not been out of the organ chamber. And on February the 22nd, the beautiful pipes on one side collapsed onto the rest of the organ, so it had to be removed for major repairs. Because it had to be removed to be repaired, it seemed the right thing to do to restore it at the same time and clean up some of the complications inside that had accumulated over the years. This is the chance to do it, and we only have to find about $500,000 to do it.
However, the church has been given a temporary organ while they find the funds to fix the original organ. An organ made from parts of other organs recovered from the London Blitz has been brought to Christchurch from Timaru. Mr. Ellis thinks it is a fitting tribute for Christchurch.
So we're able to secure an organ which was made up of pieces after the Blitz in the north of England, and it's been sitting in the factory of the South Island Organ Company since 30 years. They put it together last year just to demonstrate it, and I managed to get it, and now that's installed. So it's rather appropriate. You've got something that's made out of bits of bombed buildings, destroyed buildings, and it's a pipe organ in here now. So that's fully operational now, and it will be until the other organ is back and we found our $500,000.
I think today marks a very significant step towards the clean-up, revitalisation, rebuild of the central city.
The phased demolition of the broken Grand Chancellor Hotel was this morning announced by Earthquake Recovery Minister Jerry Brownlee. Mr Brownlee says it will be the largest demolition ever carried out in New Zealand. He says he believes it's a step forward towards rebuilding Christchurch City.
As you'll know, the Grand Chancellor has suffered significant damage. It's the tallest building in Christchurch, and it's been leaning over the buildings in its surround for quite some time. And I guess in many ways it's become a sort of a psychological point for people to look at to see the sort of damage that we have in the city. It can be seen from many parts of the city, but perhaps not for too much longer. Today we are able to announce that the arrangements for its demolition are coming to fruition, that Fletcher Construction have been designated the preferred contractor, and that a process for that demolition will begin very shortly. Complexities of demolition in Christchurch City are now considerable. There's been almost 500 buildings approved so far for demolition, with an expected 900 ultimately needing to be demolished. And that process is underway. Around about 250 have been demolished, but a big building like this poses its own particular problem.
Mr Brownlee expressed gratitude towards Sarah engineers and the owners and managers of the hotel. Hotel Grand Chancellor say they will rebuild in Christchurch, although they're unsure whether it will be on the same site due to questions over the land. But they say they will rebuild wherever the CBD is in the future. There are no design plans for a new building as of yet, but they want it to be as iconic as the current building.
We certainly have been working together with Sarah and Priya, prior to them with Civil Defence, in trying to progress the outcome that we're here today, and that's been announced today. I'd like to think, from my owner's perspective, or our company's perspective, the efforts that Sarah and the CD boys and the critical buildings team have shown us over the period. We've worked closely with them to get to this point today, and we look forward to, or look forward in inverted commas. Unfortunately, the building has to come down, but we look forward to that process starting very soon. I'd just like to say at this point that it's our company's intention to rebuild in Christchurch. We want to certainly have a presence here, and we look forward at some point in the future of announcing those plans. There is still a lot of uncertainty with regards to whether we can rebuild on this site and the type of building we can rebuild, but we will be reinvesting in Christchurch. We'd like to be wherever that CBD or wherever that centre of the city will be in the future.
I think that's a great commitment. As we go through the next 9 months of the process to get the new CBD plan, clearly the City Council will want to have, as it consults the community, a say about where different sorts of activities go. And the important thing is that Grand Chancellor Hotels have said they want to remain in Christchurch and want to be part of the rebuilt new CBD.
Mr Delashiki says it has been a joint process so far with Sarah and Grand Chancellor Management. The process of deconstructing the building will see work go from the top of the building to the bottom.
For us, initially, is to have the engineers involved, have a look at the building. It's to look at its stability and get people actually working in there safely. So we'll have a team working on that over the initial few weeks. We'd like to then get into the actual demolition in the car park. And main demolition will be probably about a 10-month process, and we will be working basically from the top down, side in for the car park, and then the top down to get down to a safe level probably in about 5 or 6 months. We will be getting an engineering review of the building to make sure that it's safe to be worked on and using the methodologies that we're going to put in place. We hope to get into the car park after it and remove the car park area first. And then we'll put a crane up on the side of the building, and then not attached but a crawler crane, and then remove from the upper levels down to a level where it's we can actually attack it with a nibbling machine. It's going to be a challenging job, and we've got a big team before us, working with us to actually get this done safely.
Fletchers believes the building will be at a safe height in about 5 months. Therefore, plans to restart some retail in Cashel Mill will be possible then.
Complicated process, and I think the time taken is commensurate with the level of difficulty to bring this building down. So I don't think it's an extraordinary amount of time.
And they say it took this long to get to this stage due to technicalities rather than money issues. Mr Brownlee says it's the most complex building to deconstruct in the whole city.
While the time taken may seem like a fair while, this probably is the most complicated of all the buildings that need to be dealt with in the city, bar the Clarendon Towers, where assessment continues. But what it means is that for other building owners, the urgency remains. We cannot see the city paralysed for any period of time longer than necessary because there is a slowness over decisions about the future of buildings. A plan for the CBD is going to be presented to Sarah by about November of this year, with perhaps final sign-off by February next year. So yeah, there's a time in there where a lot of demolition should occur, and frankly has to occur, so that people can make the plans for the future. Once the demolition has occurred, all that geotech work can progress. The seismic loadings for buildings of particular sizes lined up against the code that we've recently published can be assessed, design work can begin, and we can get that new city.
Mr Brownlee says Fletchers was chosen as they're the most competent, but would not say if it was because they're the cheapest. There are questions as to why Fletchers is getting so many contracts. Mr Brownlee says he is unsure how many contracts Fletchers has gained.
I think competence would be the first issue, because it is a very, very complex demolition. You'll notice that the building is perched precariously over the top of other buildings, so all care needs to be taken to ensure no unexpected damage. And then of course it's obviously they won the tender on a range of other factors that has led to that decision.
The days of plastic-wrapped pies in a warmer are gone. Dame Alison Holst launched a new range of food at BP to Go Hallswell today, the first to be launched in New Zealand. BP To Go Hallswell owner-operator David Owen and Dame Allison hosted a morning tea this morning for members of the community to test the range. Simon Hulse says they wanted to bring some positivity to Christchurch.
Obviously, we want to do something positive, you know. It seems like things have been pretty tough down here for a while, and hopefully this is it's something lighter, but also, yeah, we hope a positive thing.
The new food range consists of good Kiwi food to go with a Kiwiana theme BP introduced recently. Some of the food in the range includes lamingtons, bacon and egg pie, Sunday roast lamb pie, muffins and sandwiches.
Well, the whole idea of this is to have better food. When people are driving past somewhere, they buy their petrol, they come in, and if they see something that's good and interesting and tasty, it's so much better than just something that's nondescript. So we've worked very hard on producing good, interesting things that people will really enjoy on their stops as they're driving. It is, of course it's good New Zealand food. We have very good food in New Zealand and we enjoy cooking it too, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a little bit of nostalgia sometimes too, I think.
Yes.
You know, lamingtons, custard squares. It's good fun.
All those nice things. And it's lovely to come into the service station and see something that actually looks like a kitchen, as well as just the counters and the rest of the things there. So it's exciting. We're really enjoying it.
Certainly nice and inviting, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
We're down here at the annual Christ College versus Christchurch Boys High School First 15 rugby game. We're going to wander around and take a look.
And we haven't had any issues at all. I believe we've turned 3 or 4 people away who turned up and had been drinking and weren't allowed into the ground. You take the alcohol away and the problems are gone.
So what school do you girls go to?
Christchurch Girls High School.
And who are you supporting today?
Oh, she's Christ and I'm boys all the way.
Breath testing this year, is that a bit different?
They did that last year as well,
Yeah.
and it's absurd. Like, parents should be able to have a drink before they come down.
Yeah, just a few wines, but I understand like the adolescents, you know, it can get out of hand and security's way tighter. I reckon it's good for the game and, you know, keep everything safe.
Chief Coroner Judge Neil McLean presided over the inquest into the deaths of the 9 unidentified earthquake victims at Riccarton Racecourse today. Judge McLean said the families have been unable to gain any closure and described the inquest as extraordinary. He made a number of opening comments to the family members and their supporters and other members of the public, which included consular and diplomatic staff, warning that the proceedings may be stark and formal, but it was part of the legal system.
To say that this is an extraordinary type of inquiry obviously is an understatement. We've never had to deal with a situation such as arose out of the events of the 22nd of February before. The feature that has complicated matters somewhat is the fact that there was a large number of people from other parts of the world who were in our city and who perished in the earthquake. I want to just acknowledge the presence today of not only relatives and supporters of the 9 unidentified persons who are the subject of this inquiry, to acknowledge the presence of representatives from the Chinese Embassy, the first and second secretaries and other consulate staff. You're very welcome here today, and I hope that you will be able to go away from this inquiry confident that the appropriate investigations have been made.
Canterbury District Crime Manager Inspector Paul Kench began by giving background information about the earthquakes. Inspector Kench praised the heroic actions of emergency services and members of the community. The final 9 are thought to have all been in the CTV building. The building suffered almost complete collapse and caught fire after the quake. Remains of the 9 were too incomplete for them to be identified, which was the purpose of the inquest. Inspector Kench stated that no identifiable remains of these people were recovered. Fingerprints, DNA testing, dental records and forensic pathology examinations had identified other victims of the quake, but none of these methods had been successful in identifying the final 9. Inspector Kench said there were no further avenues to identify the remaining people. Kench read similar evidence relating to CTV employees Matthew Beaumont, Sean Lucas and Valeri Volnov. He said witnesses from CTV staff had given evidence that Matty, Sean and Valeri were employed at CTV and were in the building that day. The men had not used their passports, cell phones or accessed their bank accounts since before the earthquake. Matty's parents told me the process was important in them moving on with such things as a memorial service.
There's just means recognition that the death did occur. There's no closure with it, obviously, because there can never be closure on such an event like this. But we've faced up now the reality of it, and we can move forward with the legal proceedings and with the memorial service.
However, Jeanette says they still don't know how they can move on.
Well, you did say before, where do we go from here? For me, to climb out of the black hole.
Although it was an emotional day for the families involved, Jeanette says it's what they've been waiting for and it wasn't as hard to hear as she expected.
No, it isn't as bad as I thought.
No.
But it's confirmation, and that's, you know, what we wanted.
The Beaumonts say the support they've received has been overwhelming.
But also I'd like to say at this stage that the support we've had from all organisations over this period of time has been absolutely phenomenal. And there's so many people to thank. That family, been marvellous, Kelly's family, Jeanette's family, and the police, Harry, Anna, Wendy, Keith of the Salvation Army, so many other people who've helped us and guided us and have had to give us news that we didn't really want to hear, and they've just been tremendous. I've probably missed out a few names, but to everybody.
You've missed out hundreds.
Hundreds. Our friends and relations, it's just been absolutely, the support has been phenomenal.
172 people have now been identified, with their bodies, and in some cases only body parts, were able to be released. Well, I hope you enjoyed that recap. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and we'll see you back on CTV, 5:30 and 9:30, CTV News.